Origin Clear is a company that focuses on wastewater treatment.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to the Water's the New Gold CEO briefing. Our mission is to transform the water industry.
Decentralization offers us this opportunity.
The plan that you've built here is super impressive.
The world is experiencing a crisis in regards to water. It's a great opportunity that you are giving us investors.
The decentralization of water treatment means that we no longer need to establish giant water treatment plants.
Let them fight over the 20%. Let's work with the 80% that's untreated.
Over 21,000 unique alternative investments.
3 million jobs in the U.S. alone.
Making it easy for the regular investor.
All the old trends just accelerated.
Lucrative and fulfilling.
The vision I've got is to standardize these products.
Design, build, own, and operate.
We have 65 people in the room.
We got an important message to share to the world.
We can put a guy on the moon, but our water is horrible.
Recycling all that water, it's a huge impact for the environment.
Bringing new infrastructure in, drive growth in America.
That's a critical part of the picture.
It's a twin 125 gallon per minute RO system.
I don't think we're talking about a $10 million fund. We're talking about a series of $10 million funds.
Yeah, the opportunity itself is very big.
Yes. Take care of the water.
Not too many CEOs do a weekly briefing and are willing to talk to individual investors.
And welcome, everyone. We are live in the CEO briefing. And
hello.
Ken, have you been able to let in Andrea?
Here he is.
So how comes that I don't have the button to make anybody else co-host?
You got to earn the button. The button.
Yeah, you're still in consideration. It's going to be about 3 years before you end up being.
That's when you get the button.
Get the button. Then you retire.
then you're good to go. I love it.
Anyway,
an orientation period.
It's really fantastic. It's a pleasure having Andrea in town because we actually met face to face, which was amazing. It's like, wow,
it was great.
That's kind of cool. So there's something to be said for physical meetings. We got so much done; it was ridiculous.
They used to do that.
Yeah, really I hear.
It was a thing.
And next week, no, in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, the whole team will get together. All the execs will get together, and it's going to be a very, very dense few days because things are moving.
But it's not going to be an 80s type meeting. Because the 80s was a different kind of meeting. Ken has a clue what I'm talking about.
I actually don't have much memory of the 80s, so you're probably right.
JRW says, greetings, Andrea's here, so it will not take 3 years, LOL. Baby, I like that. From your lips to God's ears, JRW. Thank you very much. Well, let's jump into it. We got a nice crowd tonight, and really our vital mission is to help the world invest in water. And that is increasingly what the world needs, because there is this, essentially business users are being left to their own devices for capital. And this is creating an opportunity for investors to invest in water, as we say, like an oil well, stable and inflation friendly. And, you'll see what I say. There's a podcast I'm going to play in a little bit, and I make an analogy you're going to like very much, but I will put you on the edge of your seat for that one. Of course, this is the safe harbor statement that says that, well, we try our very best to say it correctly, but it's not a done deal till it happens. We do correct ourselves. If we screw up, we try and tell it like it is. Okay. What is the current capital status? Well, I'm happy to tell you that on paper, at least, we are at $1 million. We are still waiting for a few, 1, 2, 3, 4 more investments to be banked. So we jumped from 959,600 to 972,100. But that magic 100 million, that's not magic 100 million. 100 million, yeah.
You're a mount to God's ears.
Right, exactly. The million is a magical mark that we do plan to announce to the world, because it means something. It means that in just a few months, in 5 months, less than 5 months, we've managed to raise that kind of money, and we have big plans to raise much, much more. So that's good news, and thank you, Ken, for staying on top of it. And in fact, the whole corporate development team. Devin and Larry, you guys are working hard. Prasad, CFO, Eric Sandler, controller, John Peraza, director of admin. Everyone's important in this game. Okay, I have an interview here with Tony Bradshaw, and he's an interesting guy. Podcast called The Millionaire Choice. Here he is, and he basically, grew up, in a lower income neighborhood, and basically decided he was going to become a millionaire. Did it, and very quickly then moved on from being a millionaire by the age of 40 to teaching people. And just to give you an idea of the kind of stuff that he covers here, episode 76, $40,000 in 40 days, Zach Booth. So the real question is, why did he get interested in a water story, right? And so this is where it becomes relevant to what he was interested in. Here we go.
Welcome back to the Millionaire Choice Show. And man, we're going to have some fun on the show today because I'm going to learn something today from Riggs Eckelberry. He is the chairman, CEO, and co-founder of Origin Clear Water. And before we get going and hear Riggs' story, I really want you guys to listen because he's doing something very unique and interesting in the water space. And I'm not going to give all that away because I'm going to be learning on this call as well. And man, welcome to the show, Riggs. I'm really excited to hear what you got to say. It's always fun to learn about not just new investments, but new things that people are doing to make the world a better place.
I really appreciate the opportunity. Let's have some fun.
Jump in, man. Just let's educate some people on, this whole concept and especially your business and how it works.
Something like 78% of all water use is by agriculture and industrial. So that's most of the water use. What's happening, unfortunately, is that America's central water infrastructure is falling apart. It's not funded. That's why Flint became a problem. That's why, South Bend, Indiana, Compton, California, where the water started running brown. And then when they asked, so what's up with that? The city said, we've been asking for money for 10 years, but you never gave it to us. Now the water's brown. That kind of stuff has been going on. And so we tend to take water for granted until it's broken. But businesses have had this shock, this water shock for some time. There's cases, for example, look at Russian River Brewery in Sonoma County, Northern California. And they're a case study by a very good company that is in our space called Cambrian Innovation, great company. And what they found was that they were expanding their water treatment. Their brewery. They were expanding the brewery production. They were being very successful. And the Sonoma County water rates were just sky high. And they realized they had to treat their own water in order to survive. The problem with that, and this is happening across America and the world, is you then get into a real problem with how do you finance something like that? Russian River Brewery is not interested in water treatment systems. They're interested in brewing systems. They want to make beer. And so you say, well, you're going to have to spend $1 million on your own water treatment. You go, well, okay, I'll get to that. What we do, we shortcut the whole issue by saying, don't worry about paying up front. We'll be your private utility. And you just pay on the meter. And they go, okay, that's a no-brainer. Where do I sign? Because now it's just in their operating budget. It's just like your water bill at home, right? Nothing to it. People don't mind paying on the monthly because it's gradual pain as opposed to sudden pain. So that's what we do. It's a program we call Water on Demand. And here's what we learned. There's a huge success story in the oil industry called Master Limited Partnerships. And in 1981, Apache Corporation invented these clustered oil or energy projects, oil production, gas production, and pipelines. And they packaged them up and they created these partnerships. And then you would have a royalty. It's generational royalty. It just goes on forever, right? That oil well does not stop producing. That pipeline does not stop running. We went, wait a minute. We can offer the same thing, but for water.
Yeah.
You can invest in a basket of water projects, which call their water on demand. We create subsidiaries and we put capital in there. And you're going to get 25% of the net profits from your investment for the life of the project, which can be 25 years or more. And you get a bunch of stock and everybody's happy, but you're getting water like an oil well. But instead of it being fossil fuels, which we know the problems with that. I mean, right now, I challenge anybody to drive very far without fossil fuel. And even the people driving electric cars, they're charging from a fossil source. So it's still very much embedded in our society. but we'd like to move away from it. Well, we don't want to move away from water. We like that. We want to do more water treatment. 6,000 kids a day in the world die from bad water, and it's something that we need to fix, right? So there's unlimited potential for water investment. And what we did is we said, wait a minute, why are we just waiting for the government to pay for the water systems? Why don't we bring in ordinary investors and connect them up with water projects like these oil limited partnerships? And now you've got a new way for people to invest. Now, here's what we want to do. You've noticed maybe that the elites are cornering the market on a bunch of stuff, right? Bill Gates just became the number one owner of real estate in America, for example, right?
Yeah, farmland real estate, yeah.
Farmland, exactly. But guess what? Water, this new water like an oil well, is a way to democratize it that it does not have to be elite. It can be, our company will welcome investors in these systems. And now, instead of having one Jeff Bezos, you have Jeff Bezos divided by 10,000, which is still a lot of money. And now we've democratized water investment. We've made it something for everybody, and it's beneficial. And that's what excites us so much about it, and why people are, we're doing extremely well with this. We're accumulating capital so that, out of every dollar we raise, 50 cents goes into this capital fund. And we're now, since November we started, and we're now past $1 million, and it's rolling. And we're putting money into these water systems, and people are going to get their royalties. And that is a new day for water. And we are so excited about doing that.
Well, I love the idea of innovation that you're bringing into that place. Very interesting. Like you talked about the elites. They look at the world as their planet. They look at us as more like occupants that are kind of in the way. And that they own everything, right? So when you look at Bezos buying up land, Bezos is probably over 350,000 acres. He's one of the top 30 landowners in the country, private landowners. And Gates is on the farmland list at about 200, and I think last I saw 250, 260,000. Water systems right now are a centralized system. So if you want to get water from Nashville, you go to the public utility for Nashville. That's where you go for the water. What you're talking about is decentralizing that water treatment, putting the power really back into the individual's hands. Or you said 70% of all water usage is agricultural or industrial. And just make it that. So they kind of become their own utility again, because now it's affordable to be your own utility. And is that generally the concept?
Well, when I was living in Los Angeles, we'd flush the toilet and it would go all the way down to the ocean, and they would treat the water. They were dumping it treated, but they were dumping it. It was not coming back up to Beverly Hills to be reused. And so this is why we have very, very bad recycling rates. Israel recycles almost 90% of their water. We recycle 1%. And the reason is we have this big old centralized system that's out of date. The central water system in this country, the 150,000 water systems in this country, are not really going to be updated. What we're going to do is we're now building this ring of treatment systems around it that are private, that then do recycle, do get multiple turns on the water, treat it to better quality, and then give it to the cities treated. I think we're going to see a lot of upheaval in water systems. And some places are going to do okay. Some places won't.
Like water is the next gold. But you mentioned every day 6,000 kids die from bad water.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm a numbers guy. Well, I'm a numbers guy. So I translated that while we were talking. And that means that roughly about 2.2 million kids per year died just from bad water supply. That's about 250 per hour, which this show is about an hour long. So that means somewhere in the world, 250 children died during this show while we're doing this recording from bad water. That's mind-boggling. Like it really kind of wakes you up.
I just saw an article today that the real heroes of illness eradication in the early 20th century were not the doctors, although they played their part. It was the sanitation engineers who cleaned up the water, right?
Oh, that's good.
Here's the good news. Remember how when we went to wire up Africa for phones, we didn't build landlines, right? We just went to cell towers. There's no landlines in Africa, but they have phone service. So where you don't have infrastructure, you can go straight to the new thing. We're not going to build big central plants to treat water in places like India, Bangladesh, and Africa. It's going to be a lot of small stuff, so the modular small self-treatment system that we're pioneering here today. We have great technology in-house that is these prefab systems, called Modular Water Systems. It's our brand. Well, we're doing it in America with these do-it-yourself businesses, but in the future, it's going to be the entirety of the water system in a place like Republic of Central Africa or Gabon or Chad, right? That's going to be the entirety of it. They're not going to have a big central system. And that, I think, is very exciting because we're going to make some big difference in those horrendous death tolls.
Yeah, I love what you said there, because I think people that don't understand systems or business, you get what's called a legacy system, which is what the U.S. has. It's a legacy system. It's old. It's outdated. You want to put something new in. You want to improve it. You want to go there, but it's just so cost prohibitive because you got to pull the old out and put the new in. Whereas in a place like you mentioned, Africa, there's nothing there to replace. So you cut your costs like in half because you don't have to do away with the old. You don't have to rip out the old. You just put the new in and everything's better. That's an interesting concept. I'm going to be, it'll be fun following you guys over the next couple of years and seeing how everything develops and goes. And let's talk for a minute before we wrap up. Because we were talking about all the dirty water and all this kind of stuff. What have you found? Like, for us, I know when I went through the water process and what was in my house, a lot of times people are just drinking tap water thinking it's clean. But that can be further from the truth. There are so many things. And when I go to clean my filter out, you're supposed to clean it out like once every 90 days, these household filters, 6 months in some cases. And it's nasty, like the stuff that comes out of the water. And I've got 2 stages. So you said a 0.02. I think I've got a 10 micron and a point something like a 0.05. So I catch it in 2 stages, and the waters turns brown and it's things floating in it. And I'm like, that if I didn't have this filter on, that'd be in me. That's bad. So what are you finding in water quality that needs to be cleaned up out there?
Well, by the way, there's a very good website called EWG.org, environmental working group.org, and there's /tap water, and you can look up the water quality in your zip code, EWG, and just Google EWG tap water. Boom, it'll come right up, and you'll be fascinated by what's there. Now, what they do is they go, okay,
fascinated or disgusted?
Well, fascinated. Here's why: because the municipality you're looking at will probably be compliant with the law, but then they'll show, okay, point something microns of arsenic, let's say, right? And then that's compliant. They say the actual level that science has determined is safe is much lower. So they have the law is permitting much higher levels than are healthy. Now these things are nasty in the water, and glyphosate, which is Roundup, is a terrible thing. We invested in a shower head that is known to reduce the Roundup you get into your body because it's absorbed through the skin, and it leads to brain cancers. Farmers in the Midwest have these brain cancers that come out of being exposed to extra high levels of Roundup. So all these things are just not great. We need to do something about it. But the problem is how. It's always been how. And look at what happened in Flint. They had their big problem, and we're still hearing about it years later. Why? Because it's a municipality, and there's all these too many cooks in the kitchen, and got to do this, got to do that. And meanwhile, we polluted even the water heaters got lead in them. Everything's got lead in it. It just got messed up. And so our solution is, don't try to fix City Hall. Fix your own point of use, right? And that's the philosophy of water on demand. As I said, we're currently operating in the industrial, agricultural, commercial space. Housing developments are about as small as we get. But that's where most of the usage is. And we believe we're engineering a water revolution. What's even more of a revolution is we found a whole group of investors who are delighted to invest in water systems. Water rates inflate at 3 times the rate of inflation. So that's definitely good because you're in an inflation-friendly investment. And you're a founder, so you get a ton of stock. So people are delighted to get involved with this because it's the first new asset investment that's come along since Bitcoin, really. This hasn't been anything new, and this is brand new. And I would say it's much safer than Bitcoin. We saw the Canadian government confiscate wallet addresses of these protesters. I don't think crypto is quite as safe as you think.
Oh, it's absolutely not. Yeah, that's a conversation for another day. I keep telling people, everybody, all the crypto guys, which I'm a crypto guy, I invest in cryptocurrency too, but everybody tells you it's decentralized. It's decentralized. Get away from the central banks. But I'm gonna tell you, it's the highest form of centralization there is, because all money in the world is going to be a 1 or a 0. And when every form of money is a digital piece of money and it's a 1 or a 0, and it's fully trackable, fully monitorable. And this is the thing, for you guys listening, you can make money in crypto. I got a friend that made $1 million last year in crypto, first year investor in crypto. He latched onto some people and just did what they told him to do, and he ran with it. Disclaimer, I have not made $1 million in crypto yet. I'm still working on it. I should have kept everything I bought back in the day. I'd be at like 3 million right now, but
preach to the choir.
But I'm back in. I'll figure it out. But the deal is, if cryptocurrency had been in place back to Adam and Eve, you would have a financial record history transaction that was viewable to anybody, all the way back to Adam and Eve. Every transaction, the Louisiana Purchase, everything, everybody would be able to see it. And that, in my opinion, is not a very good thing if it's in the wrong hands. As far as your stuff goes, let's get the people over to your site and learn a little bit more, because I think this is really important stuff. Like I said, the elite are trying to buy up resources. They see the planet as their oyster. They own it, and we're just, probably like ants eating off the fruit. And they see that resource as a way to make money and control. And they have a plan for that. They're looking at that kind of stuff, right? And we need to, just to be aware of it. It's not to be anything to be afraid of, but just be aware of it. Do the best you can do. And I love your strategies, Riggs. So how are the people going to find out about you, follow up, and look at your investment opportunities?
Well, if they go to originclear.com, or one word, Origin Clear, right away they will see a piece that Newsmax morning show did on us, which tells about the story. And on the top right, you will see Invest Now. Right now, it's accredited investors. We don't currently have an offering for unaccredited investors. So the best thing that unaccredited investors could do is simply invest in the stock itself on the open market. But for accredited investors, we offer this income flow, just like an oil well. And that is super exciting. Simply go to Invest Now, and you'll see it explained in great detail. You'll get a chance to talk to my main man, Ken Berenger, who is one of the creators of Water on Demand, and he will talk to you. We love this mission. We're making a change finally in water, and we couldn't be happier to be finally doing this. It's been a long time coming, but like I say, when you're apprenticing something, you eventually get what you need.
I love it, Reg. You got a lot of wisdom there. I appreciate you being on the show today and sharing that. Let me remind you guys, that's originclear.com. Go check out what Riggs has got, and OCLN is the ticker symbol. Is that right, Riggs? Yeah, yes, if you want to look at buying it on the open market, is that Dow? Is that S&P? What is that? What?
It's the OTC, so it's over the counter.
Over the counter. Okay.
But any one of your brokers, Ameritrade, whatever, you can buy it from, and it's a penny stock, and which means that sometimes it's better to buy something in pennies than in thousands of dollars a share, right? Because
I'm a big believer, man, in buying something on the ground floor and getting into it. And, I think my new investment strategies personally is like find where you can stick $1,000, $10,000 at different places and just stick it everywhere you can for these opportunities. One of them is going to pay off, and the sky's the limit. My wife told me to buy Apple stock at $3 a share in, I tell her it was 2003. She told me back in 1998. I don't know, but either way, I missed it because, $3,000 is like, I don't know, $2-3 million right now. And, and I didn't listen to her. She had never made an investment in her life. And she told me to buy Apple stock, and I passed on it. I thought they were dead and gone, but
you listen to your wife. I've learned that lesson.
Man, I'll tell you, I need to do a book on like picking stocks and letting her, cause she didn't know anything about it. And I went through a process with her to see how she would do. And she like nailed like 8 out of 10 she picked, and would have made money on them in the last 10 years, like a lot of money, beat the S&P index. Yeah. I think everybody should pay attention to health. There's so many chemicals and things in the water and the food today. And when you look back just from a health perspective, these are things I've been learning over the last, 3, 4, 5 years. But when you look at cancers were like 1 in 100 or something like that, 1 in 60, 60 years ago. Now it's like 1 in 4. And you go, why is there a cancer epidemic? It wasn't like that 50 or 60 years ago. And the only thing you can really point to is, the V word.
Environment.
The environment, the food, the water, diabetes, same thing, man. High fructose corn syrup, man, it's in there somewhere doing something bad to us. But anyway, Riggs, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Tony, it's been such a pleasure, and I hope we talk again in about 6 months. I'll give you an update. That was a really interesting interview, as you saw, and really a great interviewer. He briefly made, this is a small excerpt from an hour-long podcast, but he made a brief reference to, we were talking about apprenticeship. He said to me, what's the secret to success? And I said, apprentice, learn the trade, right? On the line. And I violated that so many times, it's scary. So I know by having violated that rule, try and apprentice. So, you know what I'm saying? So Keith Rutten says, if MLBs are a proven system, that should be an easy sell to most people who are familiar with business. What's your comment about that, Ken?
Yeah. So when I speak with prospects, I go, look, this is like an MLP for water. And they go, oh, okay. Yeah. Right. And then they go, so how does that, of course, then it's, well, how does that work? And I go, well, picture you owned a private utility. It was a piece of equipment that drew, either if it drew oil out of the earth, you'd get the royalty. And if it drew water or actually, recreated clean water from dirty, that is a billable commodity. All right. And then it just, it clicks. So then when I try to do, it's literally a 30-second explanation. And then it's just kind of going into the actual mechanics of the offering, which takes a little bit more care and time to kind of lay out. But I think the concept is instantaneous. That was a huge breakthrough, comparing it to MLPs. And you and I kind of just went, whoa, this is like perfect. Now, as you say, the devil's in the details. It's far from the end of it, but it does a huge jump. Because before that, we'd have to explain, now listen, not all water is being treated, It was a long story. Right. Exactly. Not everybody has the money to buy these systems, and people don't realize that. They go, well, I flush the toilet, it works, it's fine, because people that are not people that are disconnected from agriculture, and you talk to anybody who's ever run anything in the agricultural or manufacturing line, they go, oh yeah, water is a huge problem. But folks that, maybe in business or the corporate world, they don't really have as much of a, in some cases, some are brilliant and they get it. And not people that don't get it. It's not that they may not be brilliant people, but they're not exposed to that. Only by, you talk about apprenticeship. When I joined this company 3.5 years ago, I had a vague idea that the water was bad, but it's like once you're in the water business, you'll never drink tap water again. I think once you work in a slaughterhouse, you'll never eat hamburger again. Right. That sort of thing. Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of what I experienced. Right. The truth is that we like to say that a button is not a hot button for people if you have to explain it. Right. Right. It's got to be like, boom. If you have to explain the punchline, the joke was not funny. That's right. That's what happens. Get it? Right. That's what happens with dad jokes, right? And yeah. I get hit on all the time. So Andrea, you're being remarkably quiet. You're just listening to us carry on and on, right? Well, it was a beautiful, it was a beautiful narrative that Ken was going through, and I was a little captured. I was like, oh yeah, that's really interesting. I actually like it. You need to know, guys, that I think there has never been a better time to connect with Origin Clear, because it to use an analogy that the gentleman was using, if you're not in the market, you have no clue how much demand there is for what we are doing, and how much our technology is really unique. We were talking with Riggs today, and we're going over really the technology that we have and what we are able to do with it. It's mind blowing. So it's really the right moment to jump on board of Apple, right? Like in the water space, but like it's like an Apple in comparison. And I'm very excited. I'm a very conservative person when it comes to announcement and to being excited, especially in business. But I can tell you that this game we are playing, and
I gotta say, the freedom that the Riggs gives us in coming up with ideas and solutions and the approach, we're gonna make a dent in the United States. That's for sure. It's gonna be a major corporation in the United States. That's for sure.
We're gonna
Many
unleash
an
a
11:30
tsunami.
call. Oh, I'm sorry. What did you say, Riggs?
No, never mind. Dad joke.
Oh, okay. Many a call at 11:30. Hey, got a minute? I'm like, okay, here we go.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
You know, I wanted to comment on something that Andrea said. Usually, it's a binary choice when you're investing in a ground floor opportunity. It's either you're doing it entirely. In other words, you can make a lot of money or you can do a lot of good. You can't make a lot of money if you do a lot of good, right? And if you do a lot of good, you can't make a lot of money, right? It was like a joke my friend often told me about with my wife. You can be right or you can be married. Which one would you like, right? So I'm still married, so it worked out fine. So
you learn humility.
But what we learned is that too often it really is it's a binary choice. You have to either chase this massive accessible market with unlimited upside, and it's probably doing some, not good things, whether it's to the environment or whatever, or you can be kind of a philanthropist. What we've managed to do is combine doing well by doing good, right? Think about every dollar that goes into water on demand, right? So every $100,000 invested in water on demand creates 17.5 million gallons of clean water. You want to talk about that's the definition of impact investing, isn't it? Being actually able to calculate the impact you have. A lot of impact investing is guesswork. Well, we think it's going to do this, we think it's going to do that. This is direct. I mean, it's how we bill, for goodness sake, right? So we can tell you to the drop. And when I talk to folks that really, they want to make money, of course they want to make money. That's why they're not just giving it away to charities. But when you see their eyes light up and you can say, look, you can personally track the number of gallons that you personally will be responsible for reclaiming and reusing.
That's huge.
Boom,
That's huge.
right? And you can tell there's certain people that is the heart of why they're, what they really wanted to do. We all want to rule the world. We all want to make a lot of money. But if you can do a heck of a lot of good literally without any consequence to being part of this, there's no downside to it. It's part of the process. I think it's a win-win. And I think that's probably one of the more exciting elements.
I wanted to circle back to the technology story that Andrea brought up. And in fact, this was the meeting I had this morning with Dan Early he was in Alabama. And what was really, really interesting, and this is going to be next week. I'm teasing the next week thing. It's going to be fascinating. We shot it in high res on both sides, so it's actually not a Zoom call. It's got good quality. And he's really, what is coming out here is that water on demand is super important. But we also realized, oh my gosh, we have got to standardize all the systems that go out there. Otherwise, we will never be able to scale, right? So it is about Modular Water Systems has developed, they have industrialized water treatment systems in a way that is unique. And this literally this product line that is all very, very standardized is essential. It's got to be part of the story with water on demand. You can't have water on demand without solving the technology problem. And of course, this all started, Ken, as you remember, because the technology was great, but it wasn't getting sold because of the capital. So they kind of work together, right? They work hand in hand, solve capital and solve technology, but standardize. And we're going to cover that in detail next week.
That's the key word.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
And
it's like,
Rick, go ahead, Andrea.
We are really like, the more we go in, so here's how it goes. Like when you enter into the market, you need to understand the perception of the market and then make it so cool that it becomes a no-brainer, right? So in our particular case, we have this company, which is a technology company, and then we build the financial infrastructure around it so we can license the technology and do things with the technology, basically handling whatever barrier is there for the adoption of such technology in the market. And I can tell you that, I cannot tell you yet, but I will tell you soon.
You can tell me offline though, can't you? Now you've got me curious.
Yeah, I can call you later.
All right, cool, please.
But we have really a technology that brings some serious innovation into the market for the way we can embrace larger projects as well as small projects and keep using the same technology, same standard technology. The business model we are building is very solid. And the demand for it, guys, the quantity of demand is really surprising. Now, sometimes Riggs shows us how things are going on that end. It's a challenge to satisfy the demand, which is a great position to be in.
Pleasant problem.
100% right.
Standardization is the key to scalability. I wanted to circle back, as long as we keep using that term. I wanted to circle back to
yes.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Is your name Jen?
Yes. All right. The term industrialized water treatment. Explain the context under which Dan said it, because some people may not understand that in the context that it's been used in this, they think industrial, right?
Okay, let's fast forward to, I don't know, 500 or 1,000 installations.
Right.
If they are not identical in terms of the specs and the parts and the interchangeability and so forth, forget it. It's over. Don't even try, right? And so this is where it's going. Andrea and I really, today we spent a lot of time looking at how this scales out big time and what are the what do we do first and second and third? And above all, what bubbled out of it was the vitalness of this. Industrialization really means standardization, right? It means that
Model T.
Everything bump, 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 bump. And this is how for example, the Chinese have done so well is they just ramped it up, right? Well, we got to learn something from that.
And that's really what the first assembly line car. It was 10,000 identical vehicles. The Henry Ford Model T, right? I mean, that was really that's what created the assembly line car.
I wanted to quickly cover this. Been some great comments in chat here. Hello from Robert Baxter, who had a great meeting with Ken today, apparently.
Well, every meeting with me is a great meeting, I thought.
Stop. Oh my God. Okay. And by the way, Ken is very modest. I just wanted to say that. Daryl Polston says standardization and modularity is important. I am in the beginning of an idea for a digester with basically natural gas compression to capture methane while reducing solid waste. Well, thank you for that, Daryl. That is off topic for us because we've learned we're water all the time, but I wish you the best of luck. Chris Park says, I have so many shares of this stock because who doesn't want clean water? That's a buy and hold stock. We are not worthy. We are not worthy. This is beautiful. And then Rick, our good friend, Rick Garcia, is Ricardo Fabiano Garcia says that's very true. Having standardization will greatly simplify the logistics for parts and support. And Ricardo should know because he's a senior program manager at a major tech company in Boston. Fortunately, he doesn't have to live in Boston. Good for him. But he is he's also one of our very, very close people. And he's involved with our crypto effort, which, by the way, we have not reported on in a long time. Why? Because we got things bubbling here. We got things bubbling and we want to do it right. By the way, crypto just took off again. Why? Because of the stupid insanity that's going on where people are realizing that their Google Pay could be turned off, right?
Right.
Apple Pay could be turned off. And so that's oops. So that's an oops moment for all of us. And I think that we're going to see a lot of that. And this is a big reason why we're planning to package the dividends in a crypto secure way that reflects the actual asset. The difference between the crypto vision that we have and most others is that every single gallon of water represented by that coin has money behind it. So it's an actual income bearing asset. And that I think makes it really interesting. We'll go, Bill Lucas wants to know, is the crypto on the ERC20 format? Well, yes, let's put it this way. Most everything is on the Ethereum platform, but I don't want to drill down, but just think about what crypto standards are being used to package assets these days. That's all I got to say. And we won't go any further on that. It is a different ERC altogether, but it is correct that it is on the Ethereum platform, which is smart contracts, right? And so then you can say, oh, if this happens, then pay this much to so and so. It's very it's got all the if then Boolean stuff down, which my son learned by playing Minecraft, and he became very good at that stuff. he goes, Dad, what's this? I go, oh, that's an if not statement in Minecraft. How cool is that? Anyway, I'm going to start wrapping it up. It's been an excellent call. Everybody's stuck around. It's been so interesting. And you know, the podcast, the Millionaire Choice podcast, which is not video. He sent me the video just for fun, but it's going to be a radio podcast. It'll be out in 2-3 weeks, and it's a full hour, and it goes into these things in greater detail. Very, very good podcast. It was a lot of fun. Ken says best wishes from El Salvador. So thank you, Ken.
Hello, Dr. Ken.
Bada boom. And Tom says, Tom Liaco says, thank you. Well, thank you, everyone. It's been really, really good. Next week.
Thank you so much, guys.
We're going to have some really good, a really, really, really interesting interview with Dan Early. You're going to want to be there. So just remember that if you want to talk to Ken, it's oc.gold/Ken or email invest@originclear.com. But the best thing is just oc.gold/Ken, right in your browser, schedule a call, and I'll make sure that he has time for you. Just, you know.
And I'll try not to be boring.
Yeah, because the rest of us are.
Yes.
I never said that.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Have a
wonderful.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks for coming in.
Blue Gold Baby. Ricardo says Blue Gold Baby. Right on, baby. Thank you.
Bye.
Awesome sauce. Stay cool, guys.